We're seeing an increased demand for real-time monitoring of data due to changes in the connected vehicles space, or more broadly, the IoT space. You can think of this as like industries like automotive, energy, aerospace, manufacturing oftentimes send millions of daily messages from IoT devices and assets to cloud services and require real-time monitoring of this telemetry data. Unlocking insights has resulted in enhanced visibility and allows people to make automated decision making, reduce costs for a number of different initiatives. However, most industries find it challenging to ingest and monitor data in real time due to architectural limitations on latency, concurrency, and scale. And so finding real-time insights from telemetry data in the IoT space can sometimes feel daunting, but the returns in business value and impact can be considerable if you can do it right. We think and feel strongly that through a partnership with AWS, we can enhance existing IoT data and analytics pipelines with a smooth, easy to set up integration with AWS IoT Core. What we're showing here in this brief diagram is kind of the general mechanics. You have some devices, you pump all that data through MQTT into AWS IoT Core. And from there, we have a number of attach points where we can augment AWS's existing solution, one of which I'll walk you through today, which is our push API. Ultimately means with a few clicks, you can go from having data in AWS IoT Core all the way to having data visualized quickly within a few clicks in Imply's Polaris product. So I'll quickly demonstrate kind of what this looks like, and I'm going to skip through a lot of different pieces, but overall, it should give you at a very high level how this works. So right here, I have a number of different device types that are basically generating test data just for the sake of this example. And I have a car that is generating a bunch of different events every second. All this data is getting pumped into AWS IoT Core, and I can see that right here. I'm subscribing to an event, all that data is getting pumped in. Awesome. Now that I have this data pumped in, what I can do on my side is leverage Imply's push API to stand up an endpoint and push all this data in IoT Core directly into Imply. And I'll quickly show how we do that. And I'm going to skip through some of the mechanics, but the reality is we have really easy ways to build connections into streaming services. You go into Polaris, click push streaming, you stand up an endpoint, let's just say test endpoint, create a connection. Now I have this route. And what I can do with this is now I have this URL. I'm going to copy this URL. I'm going to go into IoT Core, and I've kind of gone through some of these steps already, so I'm going to skip ahead. What I will do is I will set up a core rule. And specifically within this core rule, I'm going to send all the data from that topic that is receiving the car events, and I'm going to push it to this HTTPS endpoint that I have set up in Imply's Polaris product, authorized using the key that Polaris provides. And now I have data streaming into a table that is in Polaris. So now I have all this data that is generated off of these devices that I've described here, now getting pumped into Polaris. Now that I have all this data in Polaris, now I can do things like build visualizations on top really, really quickly. So here's a quick example of a visualization that you can build on top of the data that is being pumped in via AWS IoT. So here you can quickly see I've taken some data that lives in AWS IoT, some event data, I pushed it into Polaris within a few clicks using an out-of-the-box integration. And now I have a dashboard that tells me all these different things about my vehicles, what's happening real time. And now I can use this for whatever other operational analytics I need to drive internally. The unique thing about Polaris and Imply is that not only do we have the ability for you to build simple visualizations really quickly, but we leverage a lot of time series functions under the hood to enhance the data that we already have.